Welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast, where we sit down and have real conversations with business leaders that have been where you are. During these interviews, we'll dive into what it takes to improve systems and champion processes that maximize performance. Each week, our trailblazing guests share their experiences and understanding of the workforce to help inspire change, challenge our thinking, and share what it takes to successfully travel the road to profitability. Now here's our host, co-founder and chief evangelist of About Time and WorkMax, Mike Merrill.
Hello and welcome to the Mobile Workforce Podcast. I am your host, Mike Merrill, and today we are sitting down with an awesome guest, Randy Brothers, the head coach of the Roofing Academy. He's also the founder of Elite Roofing and a best-selling author of Start It, Build It, Grow It. So if you haven't checked out his podcast, the Start, Build, Grow podcast, you need to. Welcome, Randy. We are so glad to have you here today.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it. Congratulations. You guys are getting a podcast going as well, man. So it's a lot of fun to be a part of your podcasting journey.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And hopefully we'll have some opportunities to connect up again down the road.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. So your story, Randy, is one that is actually pretty powerful. Would you mind giving our listeners a little bit of a glimpse into your journey?
Sure. I am, essentially a third generation contractor, by blood, if you will. Grandfather and father were carpenters, and I grew up with a knack and interest in building, creating, and it just, as I grew up, I kind of developed a love and a passion for construction and building and just seeing things created. Which kind of brought me into construction early on. I mean, when I was, before I could even drink, I was full-time project manager, building homes, doing custom homes, track homes, basement finish, remodel, fire and water restoration. So I've done a ton of contracting, and then kind of, like many of those, if you've been in the industry long enough, we were all pretty drastically affected by the recession that kind of started in 2006-07 and kind of culminated all the way up in 2009. So that affected me greatly. It kind of essentially made me completely have to change the trajectory of my career, if you will. And originally I wanted to work my way into becoming a well-known custom home builder. I thought that was kind of like the pinnacle of contracting. And if you can be a custom home builder, build a name for yourself, that was the thing to do. The market and the economy didn't allow that. So I ended up learning a lot of lessons and fell flat on my face, and ultimately had to completely shut that first business down and file for bankruptcy. Since then, I learned a lot, and I'm grateful for it. But I kind of stumbled into the roofing industry, the roofing space. And ever since then, I've been diving and working as much as I can to learn and grow within the roofing trade space. And it's been a pretty awesome journey up until now.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I know it's not easy to talk about those low points and those struggles that many businesses go through. Some, again, it gets more extreme and they got to figure things out. So I'm glad to hear that you're back on your feet and kind of worked out, kind of reinvented yourself in a different way. What would you do differently if you could have gone back now? I mean, we can never do that, but if you could, what do you think you would have done differently to try and help navigate those troubled waters differently?
The short answer is nothing, because of all the things I learned. I look back, and yeah, it's there's a lot of people that have experienced similar situations, but nobody's willing to talk about it. There's a lot of pride involved in that, and
Sure.
and I feel that it's kind of my calling and destiny to try to help others who have experience or to avoid similar situations. So that's why I'm so kind of open about my experience. But the things I've learned at such an early age, I mean, that's all happened when I was 20, 23, 24, 25 years old. So I'm grateful that it happened to me so early in my career that I was able to learn and grow and manifest that to where I am now, to just pour into and help other people. However, economically, I would have paid a lot more attention to the market around me. I mean, there was plenty of signs looking back that kind of identified and showed me that something's not right here. The market's changing, the economy's changing, the housing market, the crisis, all this stuff started happening, and I had the blinders on. I was just focused on I have X amount of basements to finish and I'm trying to get more business. And I just kind of completely got caught without, really paying attention to what's going on around the world around me. And kind of got caught, slipping that way. And ultimately, what happened. But I would have paid a lot more attention, and I've been a lot more aware of things outside of, the narrow focus of the three things I had to get done at a time.
Yeah, I mean, we often hear in construction, it's like you're herding cats out there. It's just a lot going on. You're performing in the circus every day, juggling acts and all kinds of things. So it is a common thing. The businesses struggle and don't always make it through those challenges with construction. Just tough business, no question about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So with that. What would you say as far as, I mean, you wouldn't change anything just because of the valuable lessons that you learned. Obviously, if you could fix some things, you'd be more aware. What about the team around you? I mean, is there anything we can learn about that? Any wins or losses as it relates to the people you surround yourself with?
Yeah, absolutely. That was probably the biggest catalyst to my demise. Was I was wearing all the hats. I was doing everything. I was the guy waking up in the morning going to do the estimates. I was the guy, managing the crews, and I was the guy at night going in and framing and having to paint and do some of the labor work. And I was also the guy driving around with my checkbook on Fridays, trying to pay my subs and pay my help and wearing all those hats, trying to do everything in a business. It's really hard to identify what your greatest asset is from a strengths perspective to help that business grow. And it's hard to be really good at one thing or two things because you're marginally average at everything else. I mean, I could have been the best framer in the world, but if I can't spend all my time framing, how do I really master that craft? I can be the best business mind or business visionary in the world, but if I'm spending all my time doing all the other things, how do I become the best, visionary for my business? So I had to, figure out how to take that plunge of finding and getting other people and surrounding myself with other people that are really good at the things that I'm not good at, and that can also do the things that I shouldn't be allocating my time towards doing.
Yeah, it's I'm having might even be PTSD. I'm having flashbacks myself of the construction years where I mean, I remember too laying walls out and thinking, I've got some 23-year-old kid and I'm like 30 and he's the GC on this big project and I'm framing all of his houses and I'm thinking, what's wrong with this picture? I'm 7 years older than this kid. Why am I framing houses for him? And it was the same thing. I was in my own way a lot of times,
Yep.
busy with a hammer and not using my mind to grow the business as much as, perform labor. So.
And I was that kid and I still made it. I still failed. It's like you still aren't able to just naturally do it without, really having the right people, systems, processes. I mean, it's like you hear it all the time, right? I'm sure people talk about it all the time, but there's so much value in people. You have to invest in others. You have to find the right people. And there's some luck, there's some faith, there's things that you gotta that outside of your control that have to kind of go right for that to work. But all you can do is focus on you being the best person and understanding what your strengths are, and just put yourself out there and don't be afraid to have uncomfortable conversations and look towards mentors and ask people who have the success that you want to have or know what you want to know. Like, don't be afraid to reach out and ask them, hey, can we go to coffee? Can I learn from you? Can you teach me? Can you share with me what you've learned? I think that was a key catalyst as well, is, I wasn't afraid to seek out mentorship.
That's great. And it sounds like, again, you're really, if I'm kind of reading between the lines, effective and proper delegation is a gap that probably a lot of young entrepreneurs struggle with. And it sounds like was, something that you were struggling to find as well.
Yeah, I had a hard time with it. And then, I was able to work my way through that. And for me, I was, lucky because when I kind of switched from, wearing all the hats and doing everything to, starting a roofing company, I started off knowing that I needed help and I can't do it all myself because I learned the hard way. So before I ever even started, I had hired my mom of all people to help. I knew she balanced me in many ways, so I hired her to help me with the books and help me manage the office, and then we just together, just piece by piece, continue to grow the business and add the right people. And we made plenty of mistakes. Not everybody stuck. It wasn't, the team we have now definitely wasn't the team we had then. But again, you still have to go through. It's like a rite of passage. Like you got to just hire and train and develop. And if it's not the right person, no one to let them go and no one to bring someone else in.
Yeah, I think it sounds like, I mean, it's really similar. And, I'm in the software business now. I mean, you do some different things, obviously, as well as an entrepreneur. But what I'm hearing and what I've heard often is sometimes the people that take you from, 0 to 1 million aren't the same people that take you from 10 to 20 million. You kind of have to work through that and figure out, what those gaps are, who those people are that you can delegate to. I like what you said about focusing on people and process, essentially.
Definitely. Yeah. It changes, but two, one thought, I guess I think that we go through this where, we think that we have to hit a home run every time. We have to hire the exact perfect person to get us to that $10 million, that huge level. But you're not going to, if you have that mindset, you're just going to be stagnant. You're not going to ever get there because you're not going to actually take a risk on this person that's right there in front of you that might be able to be developed into something bigger and better than what you think they are, So, and that's another thing we've learned is, some people that you don't even realize that the potential they have, you go out on a limb, you give them an opportunity, and they may end up being, a catalyst or a leader of your company 10 years down the road. You never know, but if you're looking for that perfect person with a perfect amount of experience every time, I think you're going about it the wrong way.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. And I think you're spot on. What are some of the characteristics that you're really looking for when you're trying to find somebody that's moldable, that has that potential? Are there certain characteristics or traits or ways that you vet them and have found that to be more effective than, maybe what you did previously?
Absolutely. And I can't even take full credit because I'm quoting Patrick Lencioni here, well-known author and works with teams and that sort of thing. But, but the concept of the three characteristics of humble, you want someone that's humble. They're moldable, they're teachable, they want to learn, they're not arrogant, right? You want someone that's humble. You want people that are hungry, right? Motivated, they're hungry, they want to learn, they want to grow. And you want people that are smart. And this doesn't mean MBA. This doesn't mean, highest score on the SAT. This means that they're just people smart. They're really good with people. They're self-aware and they're sharp in a sense of, human to human interaction. Those are the three characteristics that literally we've built into our company and that we're always looking for and it's easier said than done, but that's the characteristics of people that we're looking for. And if you have those three components, you can go a long way and you can really develop people into awesome, entities, awesome assets for your business.
Yeah. And like you said, I think one of the, one of the key points that I heard is you got to give them an opportunity. So you kind of have to extend, maybe put a little bit of extra faith in them to allow them to bloom and flourish into something more.
I love that you mentioned that because I think, and I talk about this when I'm coaching or speaking or something, I talk about this where, we as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as owners of companies, like we have an incredible gift, an incredible blessing that we're able to create opportunities for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we don't take advantage of it. Like we're scared. We don't take ownership of, we literally can create jobs and create opportunities for people that can define their family for generations. That's big if you think about that. Like if you can actually process that and take ownership of what the gift you have to give to others as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, why wouldn't you grow? Why wouldn't you invest in people? Why wouldn't you, extend opportunities to good people that just want to do right by them families and want to be a part of something bigger than themselves?
Yeah, I love that. I think back to when I was in construction, and that was something that I would talk with my staff about all the time is, we're impacting hundreds and even thousands of lives every day by what we're doing. We have hundreds of people that are working on our projects, and their families are counting on that revenue and that opportunity. And so I love that you mentioned that. And I really, you know, if you've got that potential and that drive and that ability, you've been blessed with those gifts, for lack of a better term, or talent. Um, I don't think you can be satisfied just being another sheep in the herd. You really need to stand up and fill those shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. If your only focus is to provide for yourself and your family, great, that's totally fine. But why be an entrepreneur? Sure, you can be a one person to start a business, that sort of thing. But what's the old saying? If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
It's like I think, you know, we start businesses. It's not about money. It's about freedom. We want to earn freedom to spend time with our families, to watch our kids grow up, and to do what we want when we want, to travel, and to not have to worry about the financial aspects of it. The best pathway to freedom is to build a system and a process within your business that allows for consistent, measurable growth, but also through development of other people and development of leaders. And that allows you to get that freedom that you want, that's the reason why you started your business.
I love that you just said the development of leaders. So really your role is to help empower them and give them an opportunity to help, again, lead others. So you're really kind of like the shepherd, leading your flock, so to speak.
Yep, absolutely.
So I was going to ask you what your why is. And I mean, I heard a lot of things in there that I think are a part of that for sure. But I mean, if you were to boil it down to, why are you doing this? I mean, you could have a lot of companies that struggle or fail, fall on their face, like you said, they might tuck tail and run and go do something completely different, go get a job, working somewhere else, with auto mechanic or something just completely different. Why did you come back to construction, and why are you so passionate about it still and today?
Well, construction, I led to my demise or failure, or I don't even want to call it that, but I led to that place, through construction. But it was construction that also brought me out of that place and provided me with an amazing life, an amazing family, and amazing opportunities. So I owe it to the industry, to my life, and I'm passionate about helping other people have similar experiences and similar opportunities, and helping guide them along their journey of seeing what the true fruits can be in the construction roofing space. But if you were to just narrow it down, like when it comes to roofing specifically,
Mm-hmm.
I launched my business with a why, or we established the why of, create challenging the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and I love this. It took it directly from Apple, right? It's like, do something different. Like, how can we go into a market and challenge the status quo, and then look for ways to differentiate yourself in all facets of business, and find ways to find niches and grow your business, and capture different markets and segments and different ways of doing things that can separate you. And that mindset has really led to some awesome opportunities, growths, failures, all the above. But we've grown a lot through that. And the second component is what we just talked about, and that is creating opportunities. I truly take ownership. I feel like I'm put on this earth, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I was given the entrepreneurial gifts that I have because, I'm able to create opportunities for people, and I take ownership of that. And I love that. And that's kind of my why, is really challenge the quo and create opportunities for others.
Yeah, I love that. I can relate to that, where you feel just such this strong urge, and you're compelled. You feel like that's almost a calling, like you said, to, this is what I was meant to do. And I think that is rare. I think it's unique, as an individual, that you've been able to identify that and then channel it and actually, take ownership of that, to help guide and direct you. Because I know, I mean, one of the challenges in any business is finding employees or team members, partners in your business, essentially, to help build that vision that are a good fit. And I'm curious, what types of characteristics do you look for in trying to find people that line up with your vision of your why?
Well, a couple different components to dissect that a little bit. And I think as humans, we have a natural tendency to want to find people and surround ourselves with people who are just like us. And I think as business entrepreneurs, we have to think differently. You can't just surround yourself with a whole bunch of people just like you. That's a recipe for failure. You have to look for people that are uniquely different, but that also share the same value set. If you have the same values and the same big picture and that sort of thing, great. But a different way of approaching things and a different strengths, I think that's the actual recipe for success.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I like that. So really, I mean, if you've got the same, we always talk here about, planting a flag up on the hill on the mountain, and that's where we're all headed, and everybody knows that, and we all may take different paths to get there. But the key is that we never lose sight of that flag, and that every step that we take is going to take us closer to the direction of getting to that destination. And that's something you can measure off of. If this doesn't get me closer to that, then I probably shouldn't be doing it. Right.
Yeah. Well, and also you want to add the component of, if you get to the top of that hill and you plant that flag and you're having to look down at other people.
Yeah.
That's the wrong mentality. It's like, it's not just for you, it's for everybody to come up to that level and to bring as many people with you to the top of the mountain as possible. I think that's where some of that intrinsic value and comes from.
Yeah. We win together, right?
Absolutely. All ships rise, right?
That's it. I love it. Yeah. So I think, from what I've seen and what I've witnessed myself is when you can have that kind of synergy and kind of followership where people are really buying into that direction and that vision that you have, people are empowered. It feels like employees want to be a part of that team. They want to win. We all want to win. I very rarely meet anybody that says, I don't care about winning at something, right? So
sure.
How do you do that and still maintain a level of kind of control and direction in case you got to, kind of steer someone back in line or correct somebody that maybe wanted to approach something that didn't fall within your value system?
Establishing clear expectations all the way across the board. Our job as leaders is to, as CEOs, as fiduciaries, as bosses, as founders, is to lead, teach, and inspire others. And you can do that in a multitude of ways, but leadership through empowerment is something that we really practice. And I love that you mentioned that because, we want to empower our team to make decisions, to learn from their mistakes and to make mistakes and to not, and to not be operate out of fear, right? But you also got to establish clear lines of expectations, key performance indicators, like really defined roles. Like, this is your job, this is your role within the business. Stay between these lines and make decisions and push yourself forward. We will support that. Once you start going outside those lines, then we're going to have to reel you back in and get you back in line with what your purpose is for this specific business or this specific project that we're trying to complete.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned. It sounds like you're saying, failure is kind of okay. Like it's just part of the process, right? Part of perfection is failing forward, right?
Yeah. Ask every entrepreneur, everybody you meet or you bring onto this show, ask them, what is the single most important catalyst for their learning?
Mm.
What's that universal answer going to be? Failure, mistakes. Yet we run our business completely opposite. We run our business as if you can't fail, do everything you can not to make mistakes. And then we hold people back because we're afraid that they're going to make mistakes, or that we made a mistake by letting them fail or by letting them, make a mistake that's catastrophic for the company. But the reality of it is, how many mistakes are actually catastrophic to the company? I mean, most owners are the only ones going to make that level of mistake, right? So you kind of gotta be able to know when to kind of let that leash out a little bit because you've learned and grew because of your mistakes and your failures. Why not, have a culture where someone can fail and learn and grow and make up for their mistake without, fear of losing their job, or fear of being ridiculed, or fear of, some other negative thing happened to them from their leadership team.
Yeah, I mean, you think as a child, you're, oh no, dad's home, or if you're afraid of someone's going to lower the boom on you because of something, then you're running scared. You're operating in a totally different place than being proactive and taking ownership. I think it's empowering when people can, and we all struggle with this. I certainly do. Owning those mistakes and being okay with it, and maybe putting those out in front and saying, you know what? Yeah, I screwed up. And I'm not going to do it again, but I'm going to learn from it. But I definitely made that mistake, and I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, and I think we have a natural tendency, when it comes to self-awareness, where we're naturally going to act the way we learned or the way we were brought up or whatever. And maybe, there's some underlying things where, we worked for other bosses, or our parents were, rigid and like, you fail, you messed up, and we caused that fear inside of us. So therefore we have a natural tendency to lead with fear, whether we even are aware of it or not. We lead in a sense that, you made a mistake, I'm going to yell at you and belittle you right in front of everybody and make it right, versus the empathetic approach of, what did you learn from this? Did you learn from this? How do we fix it and make it better? We can't have this mentality of everybody's replaceable. If you lead your company from a perspective of everyone's replaceable, man, you will be replacing them, and they're not going to want to perform, and they're not going to perform to their best ability because they're freaking afraid. They're afraid of losing their job. They're afraid of letting you down. They're afraid of not performing well. So they're not gonna ever reach their full potential with that sort of leadership strategy. And a lot of us just aren't aware that we're doing it. So let's do some self-awareness and really look inside at how we're leading our people and how we can make the changes ourselves and take ownership of our own roles as leaders to help empower our subordinates to be the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, I think to your point, it seems like sometimes if we harp on those things in the negative, sometimes it's just self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, and then we're excited, or almost like we're smart because we said, I knew you were going to do that. I knew that was going to happen. And it's like, that's not a safe place for a team member to be. And if your goal is to work together to build something great, you're gonna run out of people to turn to when you need some other hands, like you were saying.
Yeah, very much so.
So what sorts of technology tools do you use, or do you advocate for to help manage employees, to kind of give them those rails to stay within, to provide direction of what they're doing and being accountable for their production and the work that they complete?
Oh man, I know we're trying to wrap this thing up, but that's a whole nother podcast because
Okay.
I'm, borderline millennial, right? And
Yeah.
I'm all about the technology. Our company is 100% paperless.
Mm.
Everything from our contract to everything we do is all digital, and the foundation of that is a great CRM system. So whatever industry you're in, you got to have a great CRM, customer relationship management system, that you can anchor everything you do. And for me, I prefer a system that is customizable, that also integrates with a bunch of other platforms and a bunch of other software. So, I mean, if you were to total it up, we're probably using 10, 15 different softwares day in and day out to help run our business, and everything from hail tracking apps to photo taking apps to time tracking apps, what you're doing, and all these other things. So yeah, there's the technology will help you build duplicatable, repeatable, scalable processes in your business. And if you're not constantly looking for ways to improve and leverage technology, you're probably going to get beat at some point. You're probably not going to scale and grow like you want to, because you better believe your next door neighbor, your competitor, is looking at technology to find ways to improve their business.
Yeah, if you're not using tech in construction today, you're late. You're behind.
Oh yeah, way late.
Yeah, your competitors are. So
Oh yeah.
no question about it.
Yeah, your
Well,
competitors are creating technology.
yeah, that's true.
You know?
So we'll have to connect on another day and go down that rabbit hole for a bit, because I'm sure we could riff on that for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, if you ever watch my podcast that you mentioned earlier, the Start, Build, Grow show, we're sponsored by what I call, kind of in my roofing space, the core four, technologies. And it starts with the CRM, which is Job Nimbus that we use, and it's integrated with a number of other technologies. And the other three is for those contractors. A lot in our market, we get a lot of hail damage and hail happens. So hail trace is another one to trace that and gather data and information to know where homes are damaged. So hail trace is another one. Company Cam, I'm sure that you're familiar with that one. And that's, photo documentation. You take photos are everything, and all the way across the board in contracting. Photo and video is just, if you're not doing that, you're way behind the times. So definitely do that. And then estimating software that we use called Sumo Quote. Those four, that to me, I think that's like the core four of technology that you must have in order to position yourself to be at the top level of your game in roofing right now.
That's great. Yeah, I love where your mind and your direction are on those things. With your roofing academy, do you bundle softwares like that, or do you just have recommendations or packages, or how does
All
that
the
work?
above, actually. I have different levels of membership that includes some of those softwares, and then I'm partnered with all of them in a way that my members get discounts
Awesome.
or extra training, or I'll bring them on as guest speakers for my private group sessions and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely leverage that a lot, and try to provide that value and helping companies get set up with the right technologies to build their companies. Absolutely.
Wow, that's great. Well, good for you. That's much needed in the industry. And although we might think everybody's kind of catching up to speed with technology in construction, we're just historically laggards. And I think we're still a little bit behind. Half the companies out there really aren't adopting technology like they should be yet.
Yep. They'll be coming around.
Yeah.
If I have anything to do with it, I'm helping
There
them.
you
I try to encourage it.
I love it. Well, so to wrap up, and had an awesome conversation today, and I like I said, we need to connect up and maybe talk a little bit further on another episode.
Let's do it.
But what's one kind of hack or process that you've kind of developed, or kind of a secret sauce, if you will, or superpower? What's something that you've really kind of harnessed in your business life now that you've learned over these years, and how might it help someone else?
Man, that's a good question. It can go a couple different ways, but I think I'm going to lead with my personally, as I've grown as an entrepreneur, and I have multiple businesses, and I have my hands in a lot of different things, and I love it. That's what I love to do, right? And how do you actually do that and be effective and build these things that grow? And I've developed, a borderline obsession with what I feel is the most important commodity in business, and that's time.
Mm.
So I'm very, very intentional and borderline obsessive about my time. If I can delegate it, or it can be automated, or I can eliminate it, or I can find, defer or whatever, I'm going to do that. I'm going to prioritize the absolute most important thing at any given time throughout the day, throughout my week, as I'm working through my list of things to do. And I'm very, very like adamant and obsessive, borderline obsessive with my time. And that has, I think that's kind of the secret sauce. When you really appreciate how valuable time is, it changes your perspective as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I love it. Well, that's a great way to wrap up. Well, thank you so much, Randy. Very much enjoyed the conversation today. Been a lot of fun. And like I said, I look forward to doing this again down the road when we have an opportunity.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Mike. Appreciate you, man.
You bet. And again, for those of you listening, check out Randy's Roofing Academy, and also his best-selling book, Start It, Build It, Grow It. I think you'll find a lot more wisdom that we heard today in the pages of those books. In the meantime, if you enjoyed our episode today and the discussion that Randy and I were able to have, please subscribe to the podcast at your favorite podcast platform. and leave us a 5-star rating review, as well as you can follow us on Instagram at workmax_. And again, until next time, thank you, and we'll catch you on the next one.